Hello and welcome to the Watering Hole. Thanks for checking out this clip. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that'll make the baby Jesus cry, and I know how much you guys love making the baby Jesus cry. All right, that's enough of Oklahoma.
God, I'm so tired.
Let's get to some tweets. I might need to copy the Go XLR thing. There we go. Okay, yeah. So Aesthetica says, okay, so this was in a response to someone who made a TikTok video that was like their life, and it was kind of like a, drudgery sort of video where it's like, I get up in the morning, I brush my teeth, I have breakfast, I go to work, I work in my cubicle, like blah, 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 life is so boring sort of thing. And so this person took a screenshot of like him while he was driving, and it was like, yeah, the guy's in good shape. Like, he works out a lot, so he's got the big muscles or whatever. It says, men like this used to lead legions into battle. Now he sits in traffic on the way to the same cubicle every day, where he will listen to some HR harpy lecture him on how he is the problem. Okay. We're going to get to the legions into battle stuff later. Like, that's what everybody was responding to with this tweet. But like, my question is, if you're being brought into HR to listen to people lecture you on why you're the problem every day, you're probably the problem. Like, I've had lots of jobs. I don't think I've ever had a meeting with HR other than like a standard, like, you are hired, this is orientation sort of thing. But while he watches as his society slowly decays, he may have brief moments of happiness with his pup, but these moments are fleeting. This is the hell of modernity for a lot of men. Okay, but so in the past, when men like this used to lead legions into battle, it's like
they would just die.
Well, statistically speaking, no, men like that would be farmers. Like that's just what they would be. Statistically,
if we're accepting that part, I'm just saying that, like, let's say that he was leading people into battle. Statistically, he would die, and maybe not even from battle injuries. He would die of a staph infection.
Yeah.
You stepped on a rock wrong while out in the field. Something got into your sandal, and now you're going to die.
You got the rickets.
But that's, that's the thing we need to be striving. This is the true peace that all warriors strive for.
But okay, so he probably would have been a farmer, not a warrior. But if he was a warrior, it was like one legion commander would be in charge of something like 5,000 troops. So that's a 1 to 5,000 ratio. He probably would have just been one of the lower grunts in the military who was sent to their deaths.
And then they would all... It's like the brief moments of happiness thing. Like, yeah, dying at 22 by being conscripted into the local warlord's regiment. Yes.
Not so happy.
I see that as such a better thing. My life would have been so much better if that happened to me. Instead, I'm here.
I would not be happy commanding a legion or taking a legion into battle. Like, I'm way more happy doing my work and playing with my dog and enjoying my family.
I get to play video games this way. Video games are fun. It's like being able to do the battle part, but if you die, you get to respawn.
If you die, you get to start over and try again, see if you can not die this time.
Yeah. Life is like a video game.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! This whole granted, there is an angle to this tweet though that I do resonate with. Society does, by and large, in a lot of ways, it does give men, especially here in the States, it does give them a shit end of the stick. A lot of us are expected to hold our emotions in, and it's a lot harder for us to, go and engage in hobbies that are considered non-masculine hobbies without having issues.
You mean toxic masculinity?
Yeah, an issue that we perpetuate. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. It's perpetuated as a cycle, but it doesn't make it not an issue. So like, on the one hand, like, I understand where tweets like this are coming from, because you're speaking to that lonely guy that feels like society is failing him, that feels like he doesn't belong in society here. The problem is, while that is certainly a thing that we need to address, and it's a thing that we need to do better about, at the same time, what tends to happen to those people is they find themselves listening to Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson and those types of people whose entire thing is preying on those lonely people and extracting money from them, as opposed to letting them actually find better purpose in their life. Because tweets like this basically are saying your purpose at one point would have been this. Okay, well, why not find a better one? It's not doing anything to address that. It's just continuing the isolation chamber.
Yep. All right, next we get End Wokeness says, Megan Fox has 3 sons that all dress like girls. I'm sure it's a coincidence. Okay. Now, is it one of them seems to be...
Is the middle one dressing like a girl?
What?
She just has long hair.
No. Are any of them, except for the oldest one, dressing as a girl?
No.
They just have long hair.
The pants may be a little tight on the one on the right, maybe, and that's what they're going for. But at that point, again...
Cyrus, you don't have kids,
I wear tight jeans.
You don't have kids, so you don't appreciate just how fast they go through fucking clothes. Like, sometimes it's like, when did all of your pants stop fitting you? Okay, I guess you're wearing pants that are too small until I can get you a new pair. Now, granted, this is Megan Fox. She probably has the resources to, like, send someone out to buy a new pair of pants that morning, but, like... It's not like it could have just been an issue of like, these are the pants that you have because these are the pants that you have. Everything else is in the laundry. We got to wait for it, whatever. But like, so I don't know the personal situation of these people. Frankly, I don't care. So like if like one of the replies said that Megan Fox's oldest kid is trans. So like, neat. She's a trans girl. Neat. She's dressing like a girl. Okay, that's fine. The other 2 are they just appear to be boys with long hair. I don't see that they're dressing like girls. And I wouldn't see the problem.
What's wrong with just the fucking clothes? I was
going to say, I don't see the problem with it if they were.
Like, it's if you are that concerned about those kids, then here's the thing. If your goal is to lower the amount of trans people in the world, if that is your actual goal, which for a lot of these people it is, then the way that you would one of the ways you do that is you allow people to test the limits of their gender. Mm-hmm. Because what you'll find is, instead of them sitting there wondering what if for 25 years of their life and then making what could be considered a brash decision in a pit of dysphoric loneliness, instead you give them the ability to try things out as they go. And maybe you'll find that there'll be one of those people that go, okay, I tried this and it wasn't for me. And then they grow out of it. Or again, if you keep on doing the whole, as long as you live in my house, you'll wear a hoodie and you'll wear big bulky jeans like the rest of men do. When you do that, all you do is you trap that person in their own body. And they might realize, because we've seen it happen a very small handful of times, that somebody transitions into adulthood, realizes they don't like it, and they try to detransition. It doesn't happen often, but you reduce that number by letting kids do these things early, not HRT, not surgeries, things that aren't even happening anyway. You let them do those things. You let them experiment and come to their own conclusions. When you make the conclusions for them, that's when people make brash decisions. Yeah, like I am almost certain that all of my kids are cis. They showed no interest in being the other gender. My son, my middle child, he likes to wear dresses sometimes. He went for Halloween as Ginny Weasley one year. That actually made it really easy for me to catch him. That was the first year that he was walking to school by himself. And we got a call from the school. There was a little boy dressed as a little girl who was playing on my front steps. They called the school to complain, and so the school was able to figure out which kid it was, because there's only one boy dressed as a girl in the school right now. Jesus Christ.
So
why was that a thing to call about anyway?
I don't know, but no, he's always had issues with respecting other people's private property. So that was our concern when we started him walking to school on his own. I was like, no, kid, you need to stay on the sidewalk. Don't play in other people's yards. Just walk to school. And yeah, they weren't pissed off about it. They were just like, hey, no, that this kid was doing this and he probably shouldn't.
We have identified the target.
Yeah, but like, no,
Retrieve the package.
My daughter did dance, and when she was done with her dance costumes, he would wear them. He did dance for a while, and they always put him in boy costumes, but he would still wear my daughter's costumes when she was done with them. And yeah, no, I do not expect him to be trans. He shows every indication of enjoying being a boy and identifying as a boy, but sometimes he likes to wear dresses. And I don't see a problem with that. And like these people like, oh, we're trying to force our kids to be trans by putting them in dresses and stuff. No, I'm just letting him express himself. He likes this clothing. He will wear this clothing. That's fine. And what's great though, what's great though is that kids these days are so accepting of this sort of thing. So like when I was in school, like I was nervous letting him go to school dressed up as Ginny Weasley for Halloween, because like when I was in school in the 90s and early 2000s, that would have been like painting a big target on yourself for bullying.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, the kids were very much accepting of it, and like it was just a fun little thing. Kids these days have it so much better than me, and that's a good thing.
No, we need to use that as a platform to complain about everything.
No, I don't understand the kids these days have it so easy. Yeah, as a parent, I want my kids to have it easier than me. I don't want them to go through all the shit that I went through.
I want kids these days. I want every kid who grows up to deal with the same traumas I did, Rhino. You don't understand. I want the battery in their Game Boy game to die.
Life will give them trauma no matter what. If I can mitigate that,
I need it to be the exact trauma I dealt with. I need their Game Boy game batteries to die. I need their N64 games to no longer work.
I'm signing up for dial-up internet now, damn it.
Yeah, I need them to go onto AOL instant message boards and talk to random strangers for years and never meet them, and then them disappear and then wonder if their friends are dead. I need them to do all of that. If they don't do that, they aren't living a full life. You don't understand.
Yeah. All right. Jordan Roberts says, I still love you and all, but I can't respect you if you still wear a mask, support LGBTQ+, kids go to public school, unless for special circumstances outside of your control, get the COVID vaccine, celebrate Santa Claus, and go to church with a female pastor. That's quite the list.
And they can't even qualify any one of them. Okay, cool. So still wear a mask. Let's talk about cultures that use masks as a way of making sure that if someone has a cold, that they do not spread it, but they can still go out in public without running into as many issues. Supporting LGBTQ plus people. What? It's just people existing. It's just people existing.
Yeah. No, okay. Forget support LGBTQ plus people. How about don't condemn people just for being LGBTQ plus. Just accept that people exist.
Do the bare minimum of just not being an asshole.
Like if someone's 40 years old and they've never been married and I know nothing about their romantic life, I'm not going to be sitting there like, oh, well, you need to show me that you're heterosexual by like getting married to someone of the opposite sex. Like, no. Oh my God, Hellbound Hillbilly is sending me down memory lane with AIM with ASL. I remember that.
I'm 13, female, and I'm definitely not working with To Catch a Predator.
Yeah, well, no, you know what's really funny about that is I want to know how many, like, what was the percentage of like 13-year-old boys that catfished themselves with other 13-year-old boys who are trying to catfish them back.
Just you need the singularity.
Well, because I remember. This is telling on myself a bit. I was a shitty kid. Okay, I'm just gonna. I own up to it. I know this was wrong and bad and horrible, and do not do anything like this. But like, one of the things that I did was because it was actually harder to find like good quality porn back then. I would go to AOL Instant Messenger, random stranger chat type things, pretending to be a lesbian and being like, hey, can I have pictures? And I had a picture ready that I would send to them if they asked for pictures, and they had a picture ready that they could send to me if I asked for pictures. And it was
you were
always
both dudes.
And yeah, it was always something that you could probably have found on whatever like it wasn't Google Images at this point, but whatever.
But we didn't have reverse image search back then.
No, but like a 14-year-old kid that is not exposed to this stuff regularly, like this is obviously a professionally taken photograph. This isn't like just you in a bedroom with a film camera.
Yeah. For some reason, this reminds me of there was a picture that I saw, or a meme I saw on Twitter recently that was just going like 13-year-old me on World of Warcraft helping a 27-year-old woman through her divorce. And I'm just like, hey, that was me at 13. I did that.
Yeah. Kids are stupid. That's why parental controls exist.
Yeah.
I could lock all my kids' devices with a couple clicks of my fingers. I would have hated that as a child. And it probably should have been used on me as a child.
Look, my mom didn't want me looking at porn, and she didn't want me playing Resident Evil, and I had my friends' houses for at least one of those. And I also had we had a network for selling it within our middle school. Just like people who had printers would get it, and then we would all like bring them in the paper folders that had like the push clips for you to the 3-ring push clips.
Yes.
And we would just have them stored in like.
I feel like I feel like I've been told that this is a Canadianism, but those are called duotangs.
What the fuck is a duotang?
The thing that you just described.
Oh, I just called them a folder.
It's a duotang.
We would just print all that out, and then we would go to the school, and to people who did not have printers and did not have access to the internet, 'cause that was a very common thing back then.
Yeah.
We made a decent bit of money giving them access to what they needed. Sometimes it was just giving them access to material that they already could have gotten at the local library, because for some reason the first volume of .hack just had fucking naked pictures in the beginning of it, and we sold that in the public library. But just ignore that. It didn't matter.
Yeah. And Naramdaput says, do parental controls work these days? Yes. I can say that they do, because my kids have Android phones, and with the click of a single button, I can completely lock the phone. Like they still have access to the home screen, and they can still make emergency calls, but that's it. And when I say home screen, I meant lock screen, not home screen. They can't get to the home. They can't unlock it because it's locked, but they can make emergency calls. And so, yeah, no, parental controls do work. Yeah, so that's, and their switches, same thing. A couple pokes of my finger, I can turn off the switch. That's what she said.
The only thing you do to turn off the switch is by being vanilla.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, yeah, all my kids go to public school. I don't know why you wouldn't respect someone just because their kids go to public school. It's like,
they think that the public schools are indoctrinating their kids, and it makes you an unfit parent.
Yeah, but like
that's where it's coming from.
Okay, so I today on 2 times speed, because it's a terrible movie, I watched the movie What Would Jesus Do 2? I didn't watch the first.
To who? To you?
Actually, no. So it's a sequel to What Would Jesus Do, which I didn't watch that. I haven't watched that one because it's not available for free on YouTube, and I'm not giving them money. This one's called What Would Jesus Do to the Woodcutter? And so, but like, because of this thing, there's like, what would Jesus do to the woodcutter?
Jesus comes in.
But
so
John
Ratzenberger
is the woodcutter. And throughout the whole movie, like, they treat This couple are getting a divorce, and their kid vandalizes a church because he's now a troubled kid, and they're getting a divorce because they stopped going to church and they're no longer living for the Lord, so they're getting a divorce. And
it's a vicious cycle, isn't it?
Yeah, and so the whole point of the movie seems to be like, well, they're constantly ragging on this woman for getting a job. Like, she is now a single mother who has bills to pay, and they treat her like she's the bad guy because she's getting a job. And at one point, she's like, oh, well, I need to go help my son and this strange old man who he just decided to live with after meeting him for 2 days. Just decided to go live with him. I need to go help them do their woodworking. So I'm going to tell my job that I can't start till next week. And they fired her. And that's a good thing. Yay, she's fired. She can come do the woodworking now.
That would be a sign of an irresponsible parent in any other scenario.
Yeah. Heather Kuhn says Duotang is a brand name. You can find it anywhere that sells school supplies. Yeah, no, for us,
Kleenex is a brand name.
No, that's what like Kleenex, like every facial tissue is a Kleenex. Every folder thingy was a Duotang.
And then every lighter is a Bic or a Zippo.
No, I still call them lighters. I also never appreciated, like, I would never say go Xerox this. Like, no, you make a photocopy.
I've heard Xerox it.
Yeah, I've heard it too, but it sounds awkward to me.
Also, does her Coke?
That's a regional thing.
Yep.
That depend. Like that's mostly like a Central Texas sort of thing. And I guess
it happens down here too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys are trying to be like Texas.
Look, all I'm saying is everything's bigger there, including their fucking problems.
I've only been to Texas once, and it was only like a 2-hour layover at the Dallas airport. And yeah, can confirm the number of like 10-gallon hats significantly skyrocketed. And oh, Jas is saying, are you going to cover the story I tagged you in where Republicans are trying to starve children? No, I didn't get that one up for today, but yeah, there was something. I think that was on Twitter. I don't. Oh, that must have been this one. I think is this. Yeah, no. So this was last week. I'm trying to remember. There's a thing being passed in Colorado. It's in Colorado. They passed a thing where school children are now going to be able to go to certain locations to, like, where they were getting free school lunches before. They can go to these locations during the summertime, during summer vacation, and get their free school lunch during the summer when there's no school. But there's an issue now where there's like new laws have passed where they have to eat them on site. They can't take food away, because what they were doing before was they would give them their lunch for now, and they'd give them breakfast for the next day. But now they can't do that anymore.
Why is that a bad thing?
I don't know, but they can't do that anymore because now they have to eat it all on site right there. Right.
The child must prove that they are consuming the nutrition all at once. Yeah, otherwise, they must be fed to the pit.
It's so fucked. But anyway, this was one of the responses to that, and this was a common theme in the thread. It was like, well, why are we giving them EBT cards? That's basically food stamps cards. These folks get more money per month than they can ever spend on food. I looked it up.
Fuck, they don't. In general, people get $200.
Yeah, I looked it up. The average SNAP benefit for a single person in 2023 is $195 per month, with a maximum of $281. The average benefit for a family of 4 is $684, with a maximum of $939. Speaking as someone who was a family of 4 for a significant period of time, my monthly food budget when I was keeping things really, really tight was like $1,200. So like $684. That's like you're eating rice every day.
That is where every single so this is where we get the concept of like, stretching you have to stretch your dollars out a lot. This is where you get houses that like almost exclusively eat casseroles and soups and stuff like that, because
Yeah.
that's the stuff that you can make in bulk for cheap. If you grew up loving your mom's spaghetti, I guarantee you half the time she made it because it was the cheapest thing that would last the longest. Like, that's the reason I make it.
I
It
mean,
is cheap and lasts a while.
I do spaghetti because I'm now a household of 7, and
Yep.
and it's not so much that it's cheap; it's that it's easy and quick, and also
I mean,
like. So 2 of the kids are rather picky eaters, and so there will often be a situation where it's impossible to make one meal that everybody enjoys in my house now.
mhm.
And 2 of the kids and so one of them, he's got a lot of allergies, and it's it went from a period like where he would not like something, and then it turned out that the reason he didn't like that thing is because that's a thing that he's allergic to, and it was just like not feeling well in his body.
Oh,
So it became a situation where anytime he said he didn't like something, you immediately like, okay, you don't need to eat that because I don't want you to be like throwing up all night. So let's find something that you do like. And now it's become hard to parse out when he's doing that because it's actually something that is going to cause an allergic reaction versus when he's doing that because he knows that he can say I don't like it and he'll get what he does like.
the gates have been opened, as it were.
Yeah, so it's challenging now to find a meal that chicken burgers are a pretty good one because he likes chicken burgers, and the other one the youngest, he doesn't like chicken burgers, but if you cut them up, you can call them chicken nuggets and he'll eat them. And then my 3 eat whatever the fuck you put in front of them for the most part. Which
I know that, like,
I won the lottery on that one.
yeah, it's a very happy feeling to have. And this is like, granted, I know where this one is coming from too. This entire concept of being angry at people for having food stamp shit, it's from Ronald Reagan. It's the welfare queen.
Yeah.
It is the image of the welfare queen that he created, that there are dumb fucks on the internet that I'm not going to name so that they don't get, the recognition, but have made it one of their fun pastimes to troll, to like buy really expensive food and then do it with EBT and go like, look, this is what I can do with this, and then you just go like, yeah, you can do that 2 times, and then you're out of EBT.
Yeah.
And now a bunch of conservatives are double mad.
Yeah, so I actually, that's the comment of the day that I'm responding to in the video that I'm working on now, is someone that said like, oh, well, yeah, I'm all for like trying to reduce poverty, but we shouldn't be just handing out cash willy-nilly. We should be doing like some sort of voucher programs that they have to use it on specific things. It's like, no, because
No.
you know who knows best where their money should be spent to get the biggest impact in their own lives is the people whose lives they are, not the government. And so I looked into it a little bit, and every time it's been studied, it's been found that giving people cash actually alleviates poverty, whereas doing voucher programs or like the like for like benefit
Means
sort of
testing.
things, and means testing and stuff like that, every time that, like, compare that to just giving them cash, and doing those things actually keeps them reliant on the government support.
Well, yeah, because what you do
So, like,
is you create a scenario where those things, especially with meme testing, what we find is that people who are on these programs, when they have thresholds, where if you pass the threshold for income, you lose the government benefit. They tend to not actually, they'll go to a job and they'll have their own hours cut down at the job, because there is a sweet spot where there is money they can make from the job and money they can get from the benefit.
I can speak to this directly because I was a server in restaurants for many, many years, and the wintertime was always the slow season where you wouldn't get as many shifts. And so a lot of people, including me, for the winter, what you do is you ask your employer for a letter, or for letter that's laying you off, but you still work part-time. And so that way you can apply for unemployment benefits to supplement your income to get through the winter while you're still working part-time. And the way unemployment works in Ontario is you can earn a certain amount of money without being penalized at all. And then as soon as you pass that threshold, for every dollar you earn, they take $1 off your benefit. And so I would turn down shifts because, like, well, if I take that shift, like, it's the slow season.
I'm working for free.
I'll make maybe $20 in tips, and it's going to make my unemployment go down. So, like, I'll spend time with my family and get the same amount of money, basically, instead of going to work.
And you avoid that problem entirely when you just have a flat or flexible amount that goes into the pocket of the people who need it.
The idea that I saw, and this is like the first libertarian idea that is actually seems like a good idea to me, which makes me think I need to do more research into it because it's probably bad because libertarianism is idiotic. But it came from...
You don't like Ayn Rand?
No, this is from Milton. This is from Milton Friedman. He proposed a negative income tax. So like it's the same progressive tax system that we have now, except instead of the cutoff point being $0, like you have zero income, so you pay zero taxes, it'd be like, if you make under $30,000, you pay negative income tax. And so the taxes, like, it just scales with your income. So there's not like a penalty for making more money. You just no longer get as big a tax return next time.
It's funny. That's so, and because I'm playing WoW in the background, it makes me think of this. WoW, World of Warcraft has what's called the rested experience system. And it has been unchanged since the early beta of the game, but when the game originally was in beta, because this reminds me of this, they had a penalty system on experience points where you would be exhausted. If you tried to level up without resting your character, you got half experience because you were exhausted. Makes sense, but players hated it. And then the way they fixed it was by not fixing it. They just changed the name. They said, oh no, now you have rested experience. So there's a certain amount of rested experience you can gain. So they turned that gives you double experience instead of... So it's not that you have
the mechanics,
half, it's that's
the mechanics
are
the same. They just rebrand. Okay.
That's the type of thing that makes me think of, is that like there might be something sneaky in there that's fucky, that's like that, where it sounds different and better, and then it's not.
Well, this is John 73. John says, wait, Rhino, that sounds like redistributing wealth. Are you sure Libertarian came up with that? And like, yeah, that's why I kind of want to like look into it a little bit more, because that does sound like not something a Libertarian would say. Yeah. But also Milton Friedman is like one of the OG Libertarians before they went all crazy sovereign citizen. So like maybe he actually like was reasonable and was like, okay, well, we have to work in the reality of how economics work in the real world. We can't have this libertarian idealistic Ayn Rand Valley sort of thing. But yeah, no, but like his whole thing was like having a negative income tax would basically save the government money, because now they no longer have to worry about like enforcing all the limits and means testing or whatever for all the dozens of other benefits that there are out there. It's just, you get a negative income tax. Now, I feel like there would need to be a stopgap emergency thing. So like if you lose your job right after you file your taxes, you can't wait a year before you get more money. You need that steady income. So like there would need to be some sort of emergency benefit of some kind. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not an economist. I'm sure smarter people than me have worked on this problem. Anyway, next up, we've got Stu Peters. I didn't save the video that was attached to this one. He says,
I know what this one was.
You saw this one.
This was the kids just walking through the Pride Arch, the Rainbow Arch.
It was kids going to school, and the school was decorated with rainbows, and some of the teachers were waving rainbow flags. That's it. That was the whole video. And they were having a blast. They were having a grand old time. They were like skipping along, dancing. It was fun. And he said this
penalty.
It should be the death penalty for having fun with kids and waving rainbow flags around, because that means that you're acknowledging that gay and trans people exist. LGBTQ people.
Dark Excalibur's showing me the corrupted blood incident for some reason.
This tweet no longer exists. It was taken down for violating Twitter's rules, as it should be, because like calling for the death of someone based on not even being LGBTQ, but just supporting LGBTQ people, like they're not even trying to hide the fact that they're going like full Hitler,
genocidal
basically.
maniacs.
Yeah. Like not to invoke Godwin's law here, but like they're going full Hitler. Like the death penalty for not even being LGBTQ, just supporting LGBTQ. You get the death penalty in this guy's mind. Lord of Uzkalak says death penalty for who? The adults or the kids? I would assume the adults, but I wouldn't put it past them to. If
we're going purely biblical, there's quite a few clauses for killing the kids.
Yeah. Happy shall he be who smashes your little ones against the rocks.
Man, Psalms is a fucked up chapter in the Bible.
It is. So are the Proverbs, man. Like, the Proverbs are one of the places where you can go and actually find good advice, but like, the good advice you'll find there will be sandwiched between things like, don't forget to beat your slaves, and, you know, your wives are the property of your husband.
Yeah, I'm just...
Like they're like, and I don't know about the wives one. I was kind of pulling that one out of my ass, but there literally is a proverb that's basically like, you can't expect to have a good slave if you don't beat them occasionally.
I mean, that's no different than spare the rod, spoil the child.
Which is also a proverb. I mean, not in those exact words, but that's where the phrase comes from. It's a paraphrasing of Proverbs.
I'm so happy that I just got through a part in the Dresden Files where like there was a whole conversation about what was and wasn't legal when they were fucking with Job. It made my heart swim.
Yeah, so Proverbs 13:24, whoever spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him is diligent to discipline him.
Welcome to the Bible, everybody.
And Tiff says, so this one's the best. Okay. Before I read this, the thing that she's retweeting is Sesame Street saying, this Pride Month, let's celebrate diversity and unity and spread love and acceptance. Together we can make the world a kinder place for all. And there was a picture for that I cropped out because it was too big, but it was just a bunch of Muppets holding hands. It was just their hands stretched across the screen and the Muppets were holding hands with each other. And what Tiff's takeaway from that was, so y'all can teach 6-year-olds that it's okay for Big Bird to go balls deep into Elmo while Count, Bert, and Ernie gangbang Grover and infect the whole damn street with monkeypox. Yeah, nah. Boycott
Have you
Sesame
finished
Street.
yet? I came once.
Two
She's been
boobs.
thinking about that one for a while. She's been thinking of that one for a while. Jesus Christ.
But like, seriously, where does your mind have to be to see a picture of Muppet, like just puppets holding hands with a post that says, let's celebrate diversity and unity. And from there go to, oh, Big Bird's going balls deep into Elmo.
Elmo don't like that. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Why are people like this, Rhino? I don't understand.
Not one, not two, but 3 naked Muppets. All right. Frank Turek says, if you compare the Old Testament and the Quran, or say jihad and violence used supposedly in the Old Testament, then it's not the same thing, because the Quran... This is so awkwardly worded, because in the Quran and in Islam, commands to kill are on the innocent for what they believe, not what they've done.
What did the Canaanites do?
Well, they sacrificed their children on the molten hot god Molech.
Did they?
According to,
or did the Israelites believe that they did?
According to Christian apologists, there is at least one Canaanite primary source document. I have yet to find what that document is. So that seems like just a trust me bro kind of thing. But yeah, no,
this source is I made it the fuck up, Jack.
So here's the thing. Who fucking cares? Because these are the people that tell you that morality is absolute and comes from God and is not consequentialist in nature. It doesn't matter what the consequences of something are. An action is,
there are sins of the heart in the Bible.
Yeah, no, it's not based on actions and consequences. It's based on what is consistent with God's nature. So, but as soon as you get to the genocides in the Old Testament, they immediately switch from, oh, no, it's morality is based on what is consistent with God's nature, to, oh, well, the Canaanites were really bad people who deserve to be wiped out. It's like, okay, well, that's consequentialism. That is not morality from God. That's secular morality, saying that the moral math, like if we use utilitarianism, of like increasing harm and increasing well-being and decreasing harm, what you're claiming is that wiping out the Canaanites was a net increase in well-being, and it eliminated the harm that they were doing, even if it did take a little bit of harm to do that. That's how they're justifying that, with consequentialism and utilitarianism. And this is okay. I'm going to quickly add a video. I know where this one is.
We need to understand this was not an arbitrary ethnic cleansing, but in fact, this is a specific judgment on a morally degraded people.
God's command for Israel to drive out the Canaanites was not race-based, but behavior-based, as the Canaanites engaged in acts that would be considered criminal in civilized societies.
First, it starts off with incest, and then it goes into adultery, then it goes into offering your children to Molech, homosexual sins, and then bestiality. And we know from Canaanite primary source documents that all of these things were being practiced by the Canaanites.
He gives reasons, right? He doesn't just wake up like a mob boss and go, Canaanites, I want them dead, right? He's got reasons for it. And probably the biggest reason, after 400 years of warning, is that the Canaanites were sacrificing their children on the molten hot god Molech, this idol.
Yeah, so I'm sorry that you couldn't hear that, but that was a montage that I put together that I use in a number of my videos of Christian apologists justifying genocides in the Bible by appealing to utilitarianism instead of appealing to God's nature.
No, because appealing to God's nature, no, I'm just going to be honest, it would mean actually knowing what it is.
Yeah, and Less Than Lucid is saying that, but early Israelites were Canaanites. Yeah, that's...
And at what point were the Israelite slaves Egyptians?
Never.
After a few generations, you'd think eventually.
Well, that whole story was concocted, basically. My understanding is that like it was as the Israelites were distinguishing themselves from their surrounding cultures, that was one of the stories that kind of developed as a way for them to say, no, we're actually different. But yeah, the Israelites were a branch of the Canaanites. And yeah, that's it. That's it. Oh, you're split again. Whoopsies.
I am of two minds about this.
Okay, well, we can just stay here. Okay. Yeah, we ran a bit late tonight, so I gotta go. It was fun. I'm glad we got to talk to Chaz. 'Cause I kind of tweeted out about it and tagged him in it, saying that we're talking about his story or whatever, and he was like, "Invite me on." It's like, okay,
sure, why not?
Yeah, no, he responded to it with like, "Hey, you should invite me on your show to talk about it." I'm like, "Okay, can you come on today?" It's like, "Yeah, I can come on today." Okay, then you can come on today. Savage Cobra says, my boss, he disrespected me, he needs to die. Yahweh, they disrespected me, they need to die. Oh, mob boss, not my boss. I was like, what kind of person are you?
Your boss disrespected you. The boss needs to die. Yeah. You have the morality of Jesus Christ.
Yeah. All right, well, thanks for joining me, and as always, fuck off.